here we are again. All right, all right, all right. It is time again. That's right. We are back again. Hey, everybody out there. I am your host, Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. It is the interview series that has been coming to you. Do you believe we are going to have a 10-year birthday? We'll be celebrating our big 11 birthday next year because, as you guys out there know, we'll be working on quite a few other things in the new year. The legacy piece that we're building, our community and our summits. This show, Profound Professionals, brings you industry experts from all over the wonderful world. Today, we have two amazing experts. Holly is such a light, and she does so much. Holly is an educator as well as a holistic health coach trained in eating psychology and helps women, especially over 50, rebuild trust with their bodies and create healthier, more peaceful relationships with food. That is super important. Our relationships with food and our relationships with money have such a big impact on our health, our wealth, our success, and our longevity. So, welcome, Holly.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, we're super happy to have you and learn all the things from you. We also want to welcome today Dr. Andrew Walton, and he is a best-selling author, TEDx speaker, social psychologist, and creator of Banish Burnout. We like to be on fire, but we don't want to be burnt out, right? Helping transform stress, anxiety, and burnout into resilience, creativity, and innovation. When properly directed, that fire can do lots of great things. Welcome, Dr. Andre.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being with you, Jessica.
I am excited about this. In the feeling of Dr. Andre being a true gentleman, we're going to allow Holly to go first. And Holly, we would love for you to share a bit about your journey and your holistic health coaching, and really how you decided that people need a more peaceful relationship with food, and that was going to be what you dedicated much of your life to.
Yes. So I started out in the medical field. My original background is teaching. I went to school to be a teacher. I took a little detour, worked on an ambulance for a while. Then I worked in the cath lab at the hospital and saw people who were really not well.
Mm.
And then I went from there into teaching full time. And while I was teaching, I taught health. And I discovered a lot of things about food that I did not know. A lot of them that we should not be eating certain foods.
Mm.
And I also have been one who has struggled with my weight most of my life.
Mm.
So, and I know there's a lot of women out there in the same boat that I am. And I've tried all the diets, I've tried all the gimmicks, excuse me, and I would take it off and then put it back on. Take it off and put it back on. And so I was searching the internet one time and I wanted to become a health coach because I wanted to help more people like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I found Mark David, who is the founder of the Institute for Psychology of Eating. And I'm like, everything that he taught, I'm like, that's me. It's not necessarily what you put in your mouth. It's what's happening in your head that is causing you to put that, whatever you're putting in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's helped me a lot. And I think that would help a lot of other people because there's so many things that go on in your head that you wouldn't even think that it relates to food, and it does.
Now, are you working with, I'm imagining you have an option virtual, some sort of virtual way you could work with people.
Yes. Yes.
And are you doing that one-on-one or in groups and an online course? What's the modality you're serving and supporting these people?
Right now I am doing one-on-ones, either virtually or in person. I haven't expanded out to doing groups yet, but hopefully that will be sometime in the near future. So we'll see.
Well, it sounds like the bell's ringing on that. The universe has said it's about time for that. That those group sessions, I really believe that you can serve the one-on-one need in a group setting and the impact it has on the rest of the room and what people get from watching that and contributing is just so much more beneficial than one would imagine. So if they wanted to take the next step and come find you for a one-on-one, and to look at and explore working together with you, what would their next step be? Where would they find you?
They could go to my website. It is www.holliesHolisticHealth.net, and you do have to put the www in front of it,
Mm,
because otherwise it won't take you there.
mm.
Or they can email me at Holly Agnew, HOLLYAGNEW 36 @gmail.
Okay. So they can find you at the website or at your Gmail, and just take a look in the description of this video, wherever you might be watching it, in the comments, in the description, and you will find all of Holly's amazing contact information. We're so glad you're here today, and we're going to get a little bit of background from Dr. Andrew now. Dr. Andre. I just Andrewed your name at a glance. I'm sorry, Dr. Andre. So tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I spent a couple of decades as an entrepreneur. In my 20s, I started to invent things, and I took two of my crazy ideas to become global leaders in their field. And towards the end of that time, I got struck down by burnout. I mean, full-blown card-carrying burnout. And that always kind of stuck with me, the memory of how serious that was and how much that devastated my life for a period of time. Winding the clock forward, when I sold my businesses, I decided to do a bit of consulting to people who in Europe who wanted to start businesses over here, maybe subsidiaries of their companies and so forth. So, and having, done that pretty successfully, I was helping them with that. And then I decided to go back to school, and I did my PhD in social psychology. And my focus actually was in creativity. Creativity is one of the strands of my DNA. I had very creative parents, and I've seen the positive sides of creativity. When I was 7, my mother was actually institutionalized, and I realized afterwards that was a negative side of creativity. Creative people quite often have rather loose connections with social norms, and in post-Second World War Great Britain, social norms were rigidly adhered to, and I think we were paying the price of not fitting in, quite frankly. So that was a very interesting sort of phenomenon. And now I've really combined those two. I've spent 2.5 decades researching creativity at all sorts of different levels. And in sort of 2015, the phenomenon of fMRI imaging came to the world, which is an imaging system. MRI, we all know, we break a leg or we do this, that, and the other, and almost inevitably we're stuffed into this horrible little tube for a while. fMRI is very interesting because we can actually, an fMRI of the head, we can actually see what people are thinking. So if somebody thinks, for say, analytically and deductively, you give them a little puzzle to do maybe, and you'll see certain little neural paths lighting up in the brain. And if you then say, get them to think of something creative, it's a totally different neural pathway. And a number of things came out of this. One is that if you give somebody a test that relates to emotional intelligence, it's the same neural pathway as creative thinking. So there's all sorts of things that came about. In my first book, which I published in 2011, a lot of my ideas were sort of from observation, from some social science, various different things. And when fMRI studies started to appear regarding, the types of things I've just been talking about, they validated a lot of those ideas. So that really kind of put fuel in my tank, and I thought this is too much to forget about. I've got to really focus on this. And since that time, I've been using creative thinking to help people with stress, anxiety, and burnout, amongst other things. And it has been incredibly effective. And essentially what we're doing is we have somebody with burnout. And if you spent any time with somebody with stress, anxiety, or burnout, you'll know that they kind of tend to think in a very convergent way. It's almost like a racehorse with blinders on. You have a conversation and it's very difficult to get away from things to do with their stress and their burnout and their anxiety and that kind of thing. I call it the hamster wheel effect. It's sort of they feel as if they're stuck in this particular pattern.
So are you working with them to solve this in groups or one-on-one also, or are you mostly administrating this through your books? Or I know we'll talk about your book more later, but how are you supporting people in this? And it's fascinating. I think people who are in burnout and in that descriptor, that hamster wheel state, often aren't eating well, which is Holly's world, and they're probably not sleeping well, or or managing the fresh air and exercise and things like that. Because I think a lot of those solutions, like Holly has, definitely relieve some of that and protect us, right, from burnout. If we fill ourselves with healthy food and give ourselves good rest and
Absolutely.
exercise and connection to nature and outside, then we can avoid some of the intensities of burnout. But
Well,
back to how are you helping them solve this?
Firstly, it's really interesting you mention those things, because when I'm working with a burnout client, and two of my programs are one-on-one. In the first session or two, I develop 3 programs for them that focus on recreation, relationships, because quite often people with burnout will push away those very people who could help them, and responsibilities. Sometimes we're overladen with responsibilities, and that stokes the fire. So it's interesting you should mention those things. But I would like to be working with groups, but the trouble with burnout, I call it the secret epidemic, because people do not like to admit they've got burnout, and they also shy away from being with other people, which makes the group thing very difficult to do. And when they get to a certain stage, then we can create a group. But for the first while, it really has to be one-on-one. So I have 3 programs, basically. 2 of them are one-on-ones. One's very intense, 2 sessions a week for the first month, and then it's a 3-month program. The last month really being how to identify it if it starts to come back, because 50% of people who have burnout have it again within the next 18 months.
I bet Holly has that. Have you experienced that too? That sometimes people are shy to admit that they have an eating problem, and that it tends to come back, and you need to kind of redose them with support with you. Are you seeing that to be true also, Holly?
Yes. People tend to not care for themselves when they are stressed. I mean, that's part of life, and women in particular tend to be more stressed because we not only we don't take care of ourselves like we should, we take care of everybody else. And having to do that, just having kids is a big stressor. Then you have to take care of your big kid, your husband, and any family, extended family, and all that. So that can add up to quite a bit.
Well, and I think it's fascinating because I do agree that women take on a lot and do take on to care for people. But what I've seen in my experience with men, even to this day, even in the year that we're in, and progression, that men, and Dr. Andre, you might see this as well, that sometimes they're silently taking on all the burdens, right? Where they're internally, they're thinking, I've got to support everyone. Everyone's counting on. I got to protect everyone. I've got to care for everyone. They just don't do it in the same way that we do it. But and then again, they have to feed themselves properly as well. So
that is
very true.
To seek help too.
Yes. Yeah, I think you hit on an interesting point there, Holly, because people don't always realize that actually women are more prone to burnout than men.
Oh.
And sometimes that comes as a bit of a shock. But then when you kind of analyze it, if you take, a professional couple with, a professional family, if something goes wrong related to the home,
Mm-hmm.
there's a call from the principal's office, all that kind of thing, it's more likely to be the mother who goes to sort that problem out. So she's got her professional life to deal with, plus. And although, men will often have other stressors, like sort of, making sure that we've got enough to pay the mortgage this month and so forth, although women are just as prone to taking that on, really. But,
Sure.
you've got these other stressors. You don't have those sort of explicit family related stressors that women have. So, it comes as a surprise initially. But when you think about it, and you see the amount of multitasking that women often have to do that men not so much, it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, and I want to say out there for all you watching, for all the comments I'm going to get. No, I'm not back in the Stone Ages. No, I don't think the moms have to deal with the kids and the men have to deal with the money. I think every household, couple, family, unit decide to divide up the responsibilities however they decide to divide them up based on either what they think is right or what their strengths are, or sometimes they have a really logical great way of dividing them up, and sometimes that it just fell that way and that just happened to be, and maybe it needed to be changed and would be better if it was done differently, but nobody ever did it that way, and so they don't change it. There's a little of that going on too. So we're not stating that any role based on gender or hierarchy or anything else has to be done. We're just having a contemplative conversation on this. So I love that you have several different programs, and I think the both of you, your types of services would do well to start with a package that offers a certain amount of one-on-one until the person kind of graduates to a certain space in their mental health or healing in their journey on this, and then graduate into a group program, because once they've come to terms with it to a certain point, often they do want to help other people and continue their health in it. And like you said, they tend to fall back into burnout, or you can fall back into bad eating habits, and that group can help kind of on a maintenance cycle. That's just my observation or thought. But if they did want to reach out to you, Dr. Andre, and start this process or have a discovery call, or say, I might want to check into some of these things, because I know some people who are crispy around the edges and looking a little burnt. What might they do next?
Well, the easy solution really is to go to my coaching website, which is plan, PLAN, the number 4, and then change, CHANGE.org/burnout. But you'll find that on the tab. So, and that'll give you all my programs and the 3 burnout programs explicitly. So that's probably, and from there you can press a button and go to my calendar site to get a call. I'm always very happy to try and help people who
have a chat,
might be on the edge, or exactly.
We want to pull you back from the edge. It's not safe there. So that was plan, the number 4, change.org, O-R-G, and then a forward or a back, one of those slashy doohickeys, burnout, or just find the tab. So then you can find your way to a bit of a chat and a conversation with Dr. Andre. I love learning about how you guys are supporting the world. As we reach out and help one another with our expertise, our journey, our story, our experience, and our knowledge, the world is lifted to be that bit much better. So how about some tips? We're going to knock on Holly's door and see if she's got a tip for us that will make our lives a bit better today. We can peacefully love embrace food. I personally had a birthday yesterday, so I've been embracing
Oh.
a from scratch homemade cake that my husband made me, that I'm pretty sure is not on Holly's list of best foods to eat, but man, is it good.
That's not necessarily the case, because what I've found is people need to enjoy their food. Now,
Mhm.
there are healthier options that they can have,
Sure.
but for the most part, you just take your time with food, enjoy it. Um, and if it's something that you really like, chocolate is my thing. If I'm going to eat a piece of chocolate, I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. And then I'm
Mhm.
not going to think about it again. And that sounds really
Mhm.
simple, but it can be hard to implement at times. So
Mhm.
that is my tip, because I know people have these things where they, oh, I ate this little piece of chocolate. How much do I
Mhm.
have to exercise to get that off my body?
Way too much. That's the answer. It's way too much. It's unfair. It's unreasonable. It's way too much. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
if you're going to splurge, splurge, enjoy every bit of it, and then go on with your life. Don't dwell on it. You know, just enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think also making things from homemade and organic, fresh ingredients, like we get our eggs from the farm and from local farms near us, and different things like that. And then the other thing is, it was this big, gigantic, beautiful cake that he made. We're having a few pieces now, but then we'll cut it up and in very small portion sizes, freeze it,
Hmm.
so that you don't have to eat the whole thing now, right? We can
Right.
but put a few pieces in the back of the freezer, and have that to be where you have a nice dessert maybe twice a month, instead of every day for a week, because you got to eat the cake gone.
Yeah, and one of the, like you said, one of the most important things is to use quality ingredients, because as Americans, we're the one of the largest nations that eats poorly, but we have
Yeah.
the biggest access to food.
Yeah, and we're the most overweight, but also the most undernutritioned, of as
And
far as
we're also
valuable nutrition.
we're also the sickest nation,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
We need to get our act together, people out there. We need to change these stats a bit.
Yeah, and they're like, just we've been lied to a lot by our government with what's healthy and what's not, and they're just starting to figure that out now. Like fats, it's always been no
Mhm,
fat, low fat. There are
mhm.
you do want to have fats, because is
Yeah,
your brain is a lot fat. I mean, that's like 70
but
to
healthy
90% fat.
fats, not,
Yeah,
not bags of potato chips and bags of bacon, so
yeah,
so those avocados, those nuts, there's different fats that we can take in that are definitely a bit better for us. I love that. All right, we need a tip from Dr. Andre, because we want to eat healthy and not be and not get burnt out.
Well, the first thing I want people to realize is how important creative thinking is. We
Mm,
often trivialize it. It's often,
mhm,
something that crazy Aunt Dottie did when she gave up her teaching job and went and bought a box of paints. But the reality is, it's the source of our social evolution. We don't have the internet and the jet engine and so forth because we've got opposable thumbs. We've got
mhm,
it because it's an innate human drive. So it
mhm,
really is very important. So one of the things that I try and get people to do is to understand that creative thinking, it doesn't mean you have to, paint pictures or do anything else. It's really about how you think. So I want people to shake the snow globe, I call it. So, when you go out to your favorite restaurant, choose something different from the menu, or even go
mhm,
to a different restaurant, right? If you drive to work, take a different route to work.
mhm,
Perhaps you don't, when you go to your closet, you don't grab the same old sort of office gear that you normally wear. I mean, wear something a little different. So try and get with friends and family and do different things at the weekend when you're planning a
mhm,
vacation. Don't necessarily gravitate towards the same thing you did last year. So if you get in the habit of doing these thinking in this kind of way when you have choices, then what happens is you start to erode the edges of that rut that you
Mm.
live in. And all the time you're eroding those edges, you're giving yourself the chance to go back to creative thinking, because that's something we all had when we were very young. If you look at 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, they think in a different way than we do because they don't have history. And
I
so you go back to that process. So you're
Sure.
relearning, you're not creating something new.
Well, and I read that when you do things like take a new path to work or learn, try to teach yourself to learn a new game or a new language or solve a new puzzle you've never solved, you're building new neural pathways, and um, rebuilding our brains where we had, so many, like you mentioned, as we were fresh out of the box. But now, we've eroded some of those with some of our life choices, lost a few. You lose it, you don't use it, you lose it, kind of a thing. So
You're absolutely right. You can think of this as a muscle. Your neural pathways
yeah.
really are like a muscle. And the more we use them, then, the more we create those stronger pathways.
I have a getting to know you call. That's my version of a one-on-one. And the second round is my favorite because I always have people share, their word of the year they chose, which is kind of creative, and then their big goal, which is kind of more vision, kind of thinking. And then we talk about their hobbies and things that are just interesting about them. And you always hear, oh, I'm a cross-country skier. Personally, I paint, I sew, I kayak, writing books, and I'm writing music, and I get to hear all of those kinds of things from other people because even that person who says, oh no, I'm not creative, everyone has something in them, like you said, that brings them joy. It might be whittling or some sort of hobby that they don't see as creative but truly is creative. I was going to ask, did you do the painting behind you? They look like the happy little trees from Bob Ross, I swear.
I did not paint that, but it's very pretty, and it's not unlike the view from the other side of my house, actually. So
Oh, very
it's
nice. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. One of the things I'm proud of is we're not here just to say how great Holly and Dr. Andre are, although they are pretty great, and we already know how great I am. We're also want to share a bit of awareness, something outside of us, something bigger and more important than the three smiling faces at you. We hope to inspire you to give time, treasure, or talent to a cause that you love, or maybe be inspired by the causes that our guests share. Holly, do you have a nonprofit cause that you care about?
Actually, I have quite a few, but I want to mention two.
Okay,
The first one
we'll
is
allow it.
the first one is Compassion International, and that helps impoverish kids in other countries. By you sponsor them, and I sponsor actually like 5 of them. So I have them all around the world, and I get to communicate with them and see how they live. I've got one for each of my grandkids' age, which I thought was pretty
Oh,
cool.
that is
Um,
cool.
and I just love how they help the families. It's not just they help that one family; they help the whole community, and
Oh,
they
that's
make sure that they have what they need, and they have a biblical foundation, and they help them to become good people and get the education that they need that they otherwise probably would not get.
mm,
And
really.
then the other one is called Harriet's House, and this is a really small organization. I just met them in November, actually, and they deal with human trafficking and sexual
Yeah.
exploitation and the women who suffer from that, and they
Mhm.
help them to get back on track and give them purpose in their life and
Yeah.
direction and help them get back into the workforce and give them the emotional support and everything that they need, because
Yeah.
that's a
Everybody deserves
huge
to be safe, and that needs to go away for sure. So,
yeah, that's a huge thing even in our area. I mean, we're just a small community compared to like, DC or
sure. Yep.
New York.
Well, I love that people are addressing it however they can. So, All right. Thank you for sharing with us. And I'm sure you've added it to all of our information so that we can include the link and share that with others so they can check it out as well. Dr. Andre, how about you? A cause close to your heart?
Yes, I have two actually.
It's a trend. Go
Okay,
for
it
it.
is. It
The
is.
guests have taken over the show. It's all right. We'll allow it. Go ahead. I'm just joking. You could list 10 and I'd sit here and listen to them because I think it's such a good idea. So,
Well, one of them is called Project Real, REAL. It's actually a non-profit that I founded back in 2008. It's still going strong, and REAL stands for Relevant Education About the Law, and it's a project that helps kids understand the real consequences of the legal system. And it also we use films and acting processes and so forth to introduce new topics, one of which is immigration as it happens. And
a
it
hot
shows
topic
that,
these days that I don't want to talk about.
well, it's there are so many dichotomies in the law, aren't there? On the one hand,
Mhm.
you've got the legal system related to people being here illegally. What happens
Mhm.
when they've got kids that were born here with US
Mhm.
passports and so on and so forth? So, it just
It's
introduces kids
complicated.
to the fact that this isn't always cookie cutter kind of decision making time. Sometimes
Mhm.
there are things that we all need to discuss. So
Mhm.
that was a very exciting time for me developing that program. And as I say, still very, very successful and going very well. The other nonprofit that I very much appreciate being in existence is the Creative Education Foundation, and
Mm.
it's not a sort of academic. Uh, they have a very, very good conference. It's not an academic conference, although there are some academic presentations, but it really emphasizes the importance in all sorts of areas of life,
Mm.
particularly in the area of education. And that's an area where which I think can really, really benefit from cranking up the creativity aspect of that. So I'm very supportive of that organization.
Well, I am going to be starting a nonprofit, the Legacy Foundation. I really want to begin educating business owners and family members and individuals who want to inspire others for hundreds of years beyond their lifetime, as well as leave generational wealth for their community and family. And how do you set that up? And how do you build a plan for that? And what does that look like? Everyone's out here making all of this great content and podcasts and books and music and things, but I don't think they, especially the digital aspect of it, realize that you can create a digital estate, and that can be tied into a foundation, which could then be funded by a trust, which can then be protected so that, as you pass it through your generations, not one particular heir can't suck the trust dry, and teaching the next generations how to continue the wealth in different manners, as things change over time, and setting things up so that the organization itself can self-fund to a certain extent, right? Well, where they have resources that are coming
Yep.
in on a more residual and regular basis. And there's just so many great conversations to have on the legacy conversation, that I'm excited to get the ball rolling to establish that cause myself. Um, Books have been a big inspiration for me. And I love to hear from our guests books that have inspired their personal life and helped grow their business. But and I don't typically do this, but I'm going to share one. Recently, my husband and I have both been reading through a book called Tapping the Source, and it was inspired by Charles Hannell, who wrote the Master Key System over 100 years ago, and it's cited and shown that the Napoleon Hill's book was inspired by Charles Holl from his master key systems over 100 years ago. And he actually they have a letter documenting Napoleon writing to Charles Holl, thanking him for his master key system and inspiring him for everything that he built in his legacy and community insight. And the Tapping the Source is sort of the in-between book that three authors came together and honored Charles Holl and redid and updated the master key system from its 100-year ago original. It's very fascinating. It's very spiritual, and it's very such a good read. But it's a combination of my love of great authors and the idea of leaving a genuine legacy. So, Holly, a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
Mine is Customer First. It's by Tasha Smith.
Good.
She is my mentor. She is also my business coach, and she used to be a Cutco person. If y'all know the silver, that's not the silverware, the cutlery, and she has a way of dealing with customers that they feel like they're the center of attention, which they should be,
Yeah.
and how to interact with them in a way that makes them feel like they are important to us, which is what we need.
I
So,
love that. And that speaks a lot to the kind of when you reach out to Holly and check out her site and have a conversation with her, that goes to show some of the values and principles that you should expect to receive when you spend that time with her. They're a very good book to share. Thank you very much, Holly.
thank you.
I'm really enjoying our time together here today.
Mhm.
Dr. Andre, a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
I mean, some books have a sort of an immediate, huge impact when you read them.
Yeah.
And for me, James Baldwin's Notes of a Native Son was such a book. And other books have a slightly different impact. One book that I read a long time ago, but I don't know, something often happens where that little bits of that book come into my mind, and that is Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And I just think it was a brilliant piece of story writing to start with, and the metaphor of using seagulls as humans. Sometimes we're in groups, sometimes we're individual, and it's just got so many interesting metaphors built into a brilliant piece of story writing.
Well, I'm gonna have to check those out. I don't think I've heard of either of those, so I'm excited for some new reads for certain. And I'm gonna stay with you for a minute, Dr. Andre. Tell us about I think you have several books. Tell us about some of the books you've written.
Sure. Well, the latest one, which is Creative Thinking, a coach's perspective. It's not for coaches, it's just written from a coach's perspective. I'm delighted to say that rocketed its way to being an international bestseller within a couple of weeks of launching it. So that was very exciting. And it's really it's an expanded view of what I've been talking about today. It looks at creativity and its incredible power and its dynasty in terms of its impact on us and our world. And then it goes to have a look at how it can really impact our lives and some in very simple ways. When we're doing something creative, we have a tendency to be happier. I mean, that's measurable. It's social science. It's proved inside and out. And so, it really tries to reposition the whole process and it gives lots of tips in there about what you can do to help other people become more creative. And you can put the mirror in front and, do exactly the same thing to help yourself think more creatively.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I found that has brought my creativity out is this is going to sound a bit silly, but I sit in a mostly dark room. It's not pitch black, and just allow myself silence to meditate, think, and I keep a notepad in my lap, and it looks like a ghost has taken over and wrote things because it's so badly manuscript shit, right? My handwriting is less than desirable, but I get the main notes out. But for some reason, that darker room, that silence, that quiet allows it to come out, and I've got to get it scribbled in some way so that I can remember it later, because it's almost like a dream. It's one of those things that drifts away. But that's
I think that's a
definitely.
really interesting observation. I'm a 40-year meditator, and if I have a challenge, if a problem I'm sort of thinking about, and I just leave it in the back of my mind, and inevitably, during a meditation, sometime in the next couple of weeks, the solution will come to me. And really, I discuss that sort of phenomenon in my book as to how that, scientifically, how that is likely to happen. And it's a wonderful. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's meditation anyway is a spectacular process for getting rid of the stresses that we managed to create around ourselves in this complex world we live in. That it has a very powerful relationship with creative thinking.
And I did it recently, and I had pages and pages and pages, and then I had something interrupt me, and I still to this minute can't. There was one more thing I was supposed to write down that was just pure genius and wonderful, and for the life of me, I can't make it come back. I'm like, what happened? So what I'm saying is, even if it's scribble in the dark, it's better than not being able to remember, because that's a bit of a torture, a bit of a self-torture. So Holly, I know you haven't approached the space on the shelf as an author just yet, but you're doing some other wonderful and amazing things. Talk to us a bit about your the little classes that you're doing with your Facebook lives.
So they don't usually last very long, but they have lots of nuggets in them. I actually do two different lives because I'm a doTERRA wellness advocate. So I do that at 9 o'clock Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night, unless it falls like on Christmas or New Year's or whatever.
Right.
And then before that, I do mine in my eating psychology group. It's called Break Free with Eating Psychology. And I give different tips about things that people might be going through. Like right now, we're talking about sugar.
Yeah.
And
sugar and time zones are the devil, is what I say.
And a lot of people are addicted to sugar, and they have lots of issues with it. And I'm actually getting ready to do a workshop on that toward the end of the month. And because people just have so many problems with it, and it's not about cutting it out, it's about making peace with it.
Yeah, my husband and I have done some sugar detoxes for lengths of time, and we just, I mean, immediately his joints start to feel better, and we feel 100% better, and we have a different kind of an energy, and it's we're not giving you, by the way, financial, medical, legal, none of the advice things. Go be a grown up, talk to a professional, go talk to a doctor, go talk to a financial planner or whatever it is you need. Go talk to a good lawyer. But it is my personal opinion, with no medical background to back this, that it feeds some of the bad diseases out there, that sugar is like food for yucky stuff health wise to happen to you. That's just my opinion. I think I mean, God made it, I believe. I mean, so it must have some good purpose. I'm just not sure what it is.
Well, the problem is sugar has changed over the years. So the sugar that we think of, the white sugar, that's highly processed. There's like no nutritional value in that. Now, if you're talking like molasses, maple sugar, honey, they have other nutrients in them that your body recognizes and is able to process better. The other sugar, I mean, if you look at what people used to eat, like back in the day, the 1800s, early 1900s, they ate maybe 10 pounds a year, and we're eating like 10 pounds a month.
Yeah.
or more. I mean, depending
Yeah.
on who you are, because it
Well,
hides in so many different
At
foods.
Christmas time, if you eat my sugar cookies, it's probably in a week.
It just hides in so many things now that
Yeah.
people don't even realize it's there unless
Yeah.
they're a label reader.
Yeah. Well, it has been lovely to have both of you on the show. I hope you're both having a good time.
Oh, I am.
And
Very much
and
so.
if you're out there thinking, I'm writing a book, I do Facebook Lives, I'm on TikTok, I'm an influencer, I have things to say, things that will help improve someone's personal life or grow their business, well, reach out to us and my team, and we'll let you know just how we can get you featured on Profound Professionals too. But before we wrap up today, we're going to get from our amazing guests a final thought, something to inspire us along the way, and anything you might have left out that you want to make sure the crowd knows about as we go today. Holly, would you like to go first?
Sure. So my final thought is what you eat matters, but how you
Mhm.
treat yourself around food matters more. And
Mm.
there's something you can change starting today, because freedom with food isn't about eating perfectly. It's about no longer letting food run your life.
Mm. I love that. I love that. That is a good one. All right, Dr. Andre, what do you have for us?
Well, most of us somewhere in our lives have physical beauty, whether
Mm.
we are next to a park or next to the ocean or a river, or there are beautiful things, and we get in the habit of just that's just part of the landscape. So
Mm.
I'm going to ask people to literally stop and smell the roses. I mean, find something in your life that you can, maybe when you open the drapes in the morning, you've got some way of looking at something beautiful. Find something beautiful and actually just spend 2 or 3 seconds absorbing its beauty and getting out of that process of thinking that it's just matter of course.
I think you were in the car with me at the crack of dawn this morning because I drive my teenager, our youngest, to school every morning, and we drive across a big arching bridge. If you want to look up the picture of this bridge, it's Thomas Johnson Bridge in Calvert County, Maryland. Look that up. But under it runs the Patuxent River. And as we were crossing this arching bridge this morning, and many, many mornings, the sky is this beautiful pink as the sunrise happens. And their clouds are colored like a watercolor of just breathtaking beauty. And I have to focus on the bridge because, there's a safety factor as I'm driving, but I'm trying to take a peek and I'm trying to drive. And I'm nudging the teenager who has her back to this beautiful view, curled up under her jacket, trying to sleep because she wishes she wasn't up yet. I'm like, no, you have to look. You have to look. She said, but we see it every day, Mom. But you have to love it every day. Every day it makes it even more precious because look at where we live and look at this beautiful painting God makes for us every day. You can't miss it. And I'm poking her and trying to drive and trying to look. And that's exactly what you just said, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So, you know what? Get up and watch that beautiful, pretty, puffy pink cloud sunrise. You can sleep again later. And true story, the end of the story, I was so tired. By the time I finally got home, I just said, well, I'll just close my eyes for a moment in the driveway of my home. And my husband had gone away for a meeting this morning, but he had come back and then he's tapping on my window. Darling, you've fallen asleep in the car. So get up early, watch the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pink sky, and then go take a little morning nap. You'll be all right. It's worth it. Holly, thank you so much for being here. Our health is our wealth, and you're a wise and wonderful, kind human, helping the world really think about food differently, with peace, without stress, and with enjoyment, and to fuel our body and our lives so that we can live great ones. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here. It's been fun.
Dr. Andre, you make me want to finger paint all over again, and go play in a sandbox, and decorate umbrellas for no reason at all and hang them upside down from my ceiling. And I love the dance of creativity, and I love for people to live a life that feels fun and full. And the only burning is around a campfire that brings them joy with friends and family. So thank you for what you're doing in the world as well. All of you out there, thanks for following us and liking and commenting and dealing with my very crooked glasses today. I'm a little off Wonker. But I'm your host, Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. And until the next one, be kind to yourself out there.